Welcome to the Middleware Tech YouTube channel. In this series, you'll learn about HTML5 features. All code examples used in the videos will be available on GitHub. Let's get started.
HTML5. So I'm not talking about HTML basics, though in between you'll find some of the HTML basics will come in our curriculum. So mainly try to focus on HTML5 features in this. Okay, so let's talk about it one by one. First point is that, as you know, that HTML is used to create a good user interface, and this HTML version first HTML came in the market, in the year 1999. Okay, first HTML came. HTML. Okay. Then HTML5 version, when I talk about HTML5 came in the year 2006. Okay, 2006. Okay, then you find HTML5. Okay, fine. So if I want to say any point about HTML5, then I want to say that HTML5 is a combination of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So I can say it HTML5 is combination of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay, fine. Now, okay. So HTML is used to create your user interface. We have lots of HTML element. It's a markup element, predefined element. So already, if I'm creating an HTML element to create an web page, then we should write the body element inside that, and there I have to write lots of user-defined elements like table, tr, td, lots of HTML element is there that we can use. So HTML elements are one type of predefined elements. That's why we say it's a markup element. But when I'm talking about HTML to HTML5, okay, HTML, I can use basic HTML to create an user interface. In our curriculum, we are talking about HTML5. Then why I'll go for HTML5 means if I say HTML5, then what is the difference? What are the major points of difference from basic HTML to HTML5? Okay, you'll find lots of elements came in HTML5. We'll talk about them. I'm coming into that. What I want to say is that when I'm going to use HTML5 elements, then what are some major points that I can add when I talk about HTML5, and that is not get in basic HTML. What I'm talking about is that I'm talking about usage of HTML5. When I say HTML5, then what are the major points I have to say? Or what are major points that is going to distinguish HTML5 from basic HTML, like device independent. independent, device independent. Fine. Second point, if I want to say, I can say like in HTML5, lots of JavaScript you don't have to define. HTML5 components is coming with inbuilt JavaScript. Okay, so we can say one point like it will reduce the need of JavaScript in form validation. Reduce the need of JavaScript in form validation. Okay, and you will find another important point. If I want to say, we can say a better view of code, better, but good look and feel. HTML5 components are good look and feel than basic HTML. So you can write a better view of code or good look and feel, good look and feel. And then you can say like there is a support for media tag, support of media tag. Just I told you what is media tag. Media tags means it will help you to get a particular web page based on the device width and length. So based on the device width and height, page will be rendered. So that features you generally implement with this media tag, and you'll find it support the media tag concept in HTML5. Okay, so we'll explore this programmatically. I'll come into that. So these are some of the few basic major features when I talk about HTML5. Okay, so fine. Now let's understand a HTML5 basic document. Okay, if I want to create a document using HTML5, then how it looks like, let's understand. See, HTML5 and HTML have been used to mean the same thing because you're considering HTML5 as version 5.0. Okay, HTML5 document consists of tree of elements and text that describe interactive content. Okay, so generally in HTML5 document, how to understand a particular document is HTML5 or not. We are going to use brackets. Already I talked about you. How to understand whether a particular document is HTML5 or not. If you see, this is a given already HTML with this ID itself. This top level element, doc type HTML. This top level element, okay, doc type HTML. This is the first line in case of HTML5 document. This line tells the browser the specification that should try to follow, which is HTML5 in this case. Okay, fine. Now, when you write a particular HTML5 document, let's see, I'm going to write an HTML5 document and my page name is home.html. I'm going to write an HTML5 document, home.html. And this is a root element in your HTML5 document. Okay. Now this document has a structure. If you're starting this document should have body and complete things you should write inside this body element. Complete things you should write inside this body element. Right? Now here inside this, you'll find some other element. If you're starting a body element, you should close this body element. So in HTML5, we have lots of other elements. Now I'm coming into that. This body element represent the content of the document. Under body tag, the content can be divided into different sections. HTML5 presents new sectioning elements like header, nav, article, footer, aside, section. So let's understand them one by one. So inside this body, it can define one element called section. This is another one element. Starting this element, Control C, you should close this element. The section is a predefined HTML5 element. This tag defines a section of a document. This context section is the grouping of context, you can say. I'll talk about it. Let me just talk about all the different elements that I'm going to use. Then I'm going to get implementation. Now, before inside section, why I'm saying grouping of element inside a section, you can put some other element also, like you can put article. This is another one predefined element in HTML5. If you're starting this, then you should close this. Okay. Now, article tag represents I can say one type of self-contained piece of content. Okay. One of the key features of this article element is that it is distributable or reusable. Okay. As you know, that article concept, newspaper article, same like that, an article can be used. For example, I'll give you an example. Let's see, inside the section, we can define multiple article element like this. Okay. And when I'm going to write an HTML document, you can, another one HTML element is there called header. There is a predefined element in HTML5, Control C. So you can write something inside this header element. So not only header, you can have another one element is the footer. This is also a predefined element in HTML5. So this header element and this footer element, okay, this header element and this footer element represent information that goes at the beginning and at the end of the page. Okay, so this header element contain some headlines, some logo, okay, some navigational link. So though some navigational link you can put inside a separate element called nav. Okay, can use a separate element called nav tag that contain navigational link. So it is the section of the page that links to other pages or to other areas within the current page. Okay, fine. Now you can these are some of the element is there. So we have a site tag also, you know, like you can say address tag is there, a site tag is there, base tag is there, block quote is there, details is there, figure is there, caption is there. So lots of elements being provided in HTML5. And you have to understand this element, okay? we have to understand these elements because not just writing it like this, you have to understand it just writing one page, you can say. We should understand these elements. So just do it one by one. So what I'll do is like open your brackets. Now in these examples you have this is also already predefined. Okay, so what I'll do is like let me open this, create a particular, let's see here I have one folder called code. Okay, now this code folder, you can write one HTML here, or you can open your brackets and write one HTML, close this. This is predefined. File, new. Now here, file, save as. Desktop, I have this folder code. Okay, just right here. Index.html. This is my HTML page. Simple HTML. And this page is created inside this code folder itself. Fine. Okay. Okay. Now let's understand these elements one by one in HTML5 elements. Then I'll come into the any particular application. So first I'm talking about the element. You can take address tag. Okay. Let's talk about one by one. So if I'm going to create an HTML5 element, HTML5 structure for this. So let's copy this now. HTML5 structure, just copy this, Control C, Control V, fine. This is my head. Okay, fine. And if I'll save it, and you should write everything inside body. And then you should close your HTML. Fine. It should be like this. So file save. Now here I'm talking about one by one. Let's see. First talk about the element called address. Talk about this element. Let's talk about some of the elements one by one. Now when I write in HTML5 document, so here address. So this is one of the important HTML5 element. So this is related to contact information. Okay, so assume this is body, right? And let's take it as H1. This is BTLC site. I've just written some text. Okay, file save, and you can see here how it look like. Okay. Now here what I want to do is that I'm talking about this address element. So where is BTLC? So that address will define inside this element. Okay, so I can create an address element here. Control V. So inside this I can put address. So you can use like Okay, just write here some text. Just write something like I want to use just writing something, assume some number is there, assume I've just written here some text, and that I have written inside this address element. Some text we have written inside address element. And this text you can use some, like some text I have written. This you can see here, file save. It is written inside an address element, and you can see how it look like. You can see how it look like. This we have defined inside this address element. And its look and feel, just see here how it look like. Its look and feel is slight different from the actual text when you put inside the address element. If you remove this address element, assume you are not using this address element, control X. Okay, there is no address element. File save and see the page. Its look and feel. So when I'm going to use address element, its look and feel is different. Okay, so it's coming with a different look and feel. Or if address. Fine. So it's coming with a different look and feel when I'm going to use an address element. So if I want to say one point about this, then what I'll say, I can say like it is related to contact information, related to contact information. Okay. And text in this tag, will come in italics in different style, right? Text in this tag will come as italics in different style, right? And that you can see if you just execute it, you can see how it is coming in different style. File, save, how it is coming in different style, right? Fine. We have another one tag element is called aside. Okay, let me talk about some of the elements, then I'm coming. We have another one tag element that is called aside. So what is the purpose of this tag? This tag is used to define some related information about something. Okay, how it is. So assume I want to write some text like this is us. So I will write some text, some related information about Athos. So what I can do here is Athos.net. Okay, now I want to put some related information. It's okay, so just add some related information, Control C. This is related information about Athos. So what I can do is that I can put this text inside element called aside. Okay, Control X. Control V. File, save, and you can see how it look like. This is a toss, and it is coming like this, and this is the related information about it. If you find some mismatch, you can implement beer. Should always close it, save it. I'll save all. Then you can just see how it look like. It will give an space. So this is some text. Related to that text, it has some related information about the text. So the purpose of this SI tag is that related information about something, okay, is used to define. So we can say related information about something, okay, but if related about information about something, you can say like that. So just now I talked about the element called article. Okay, same like you'll find some article, right, in newspaper. Article. So just now you could talk about that this article is one type of predefined element in HTML5. So how I can define, what does it mean by article? As you find in newspaper article, independent information that is being defined in newspaper in a particular location. So article means independent content or self-independent content. Generally we talk about, right? Generally we say it is a self-independent independent content. That is article. So same things here also. If I'm going to use article element to define something, so that will come as a cell. Control Z. So it is generally used to define some self-independent content. So in our web page, assume, if I let me write here. Yeah. So assume let me write here. Here I think I've just written bitlc. So I want to define an article about BTLC. I want to define an article about BTLC. So if I have to say any article about BTLC, so what I have to do is that I have to put that content inside the element called article. Or don't leave it. I want to talk about some content related to take any content attached general. So some article I want to implement. So fine. So if I want to say some point about it, so you can use the content. Control C. Okay, so I'm talking about Athos Central, something I want to talk about, right? So I want to make it as an article. Okay, so Athos Central, right? So if I want to say something, so what I have to do is that just put it inside this article. This is an element I have used, and what I want to say, I want to put here. This I want to define some text. Fine. Now I want to define it as an article, independent article. It's okay. So put this content inside the article element. Control X. Control V, and I'll talk about article as you talked about is independent content about independent content we can define. So this content you can define inside paragraph. Control X. Control V, like that. Okay, so if I want to say save it, it depends on how you are going to present the content. So if you see when I put some content inside article, so this is the topic, and this is I'm talking about something about data center. So we can put it. This is how it look like. Okay, but when I'm going to use a site tag, there is no right. It will look like this, related information, but article generally is independent information like this, right? You can say. Another one element I want to use base tag. You may have heard this name, base tag. Okay, what is this? Base tag is that it's I think that it's a default link and default target for an all hyperlink tag. Actually, it is defined inside the head tag. So how it is? So as far as assume, let me show you here. Assume, see, this is my head tag, right? So inside head tag, I'm going to define one base tag. Okay. So what I do generally assume, let's see, I'm going to define a base tag. So I can write base def equal to some URL I want to put. So put it our Atos website itself, http://www.atos.net. Okay. So and I can write here something target equal to something like this. You can put, just see here how it look like. Okay. File, save all, and I want to see this page. Refresh. Are you saying anything else? Just enter. Just see here. When I'm going to use base tag means default link or default target for all hyperlinks. Okay, so now we'll see where is that. Here I can write it like this, or if I'm going to use this, now see here. Okay, I'm coming into this. I'm coming now. See. Can save file, save all, and just to run this. Not showing anything, right? So I'm coming into that. Just give me 2 minutes. I'm coming into that. Before that, let me talk about one of the element called block quote. We have another one element called block quote. Block quote generally we use BLOCK block quote, QUOTE block quote. This block quote is used to place some text separately. Actually, it is used to place some text separately. How it is to place some text separately? I generally use block quote. So just see here. Assume this is the thing, right? Assume, let me put it here as PR element just to get a space. So here, assume you have written some paragraph, okay? And inside this paragraph, you have added some text. So add some text inside the paragraph. Just add some text inside the paragraph. Assume this is your text. Control C. Inside this paragraph, you want to add some text. Control V. Now what I want is that this text is related to some topic. This text is related to some topic, like in this example, it is related to application transformation and migration service. Fine. So this text is related to some topic, right? So what I'll do is that, so you can use, so this text is related to topic, so that this is related to topics. Put this code inside the element called block code. Okay. Starting the element and Control X, Control V, and closing the element. So this text is related to this topic. Okay. So so the purpose of if you're starting this P element, okay, and you should close this P, but you can use some of the attribute like line equal to justify. Some attribute I'm using here. Okay, so save it, file, save all. Why it is not giving? Starting this P. Is there any extra character? No, fine. Okay. It's okay, fine. Now assume I don't have anything here. Save this, and this code is in block codes. Just check how it look like. If I run it, it should not give any error. When I run it, now see how this block code look like. See, this is the text about which I'm going to say some points. So see how it look like. So it's look slightly different, right, than the article look, right? So so to place the text separately, right, that is the tab space before and after the text. Not only this, here also some tab space is there. See here, it has not gone till end. There also it is giving on tab space. Here also the tab space is there, right? So a block code will look like this. Okay. So you can write here some text like you can say like tab space before and after the text, right? It create tab space, okay, before and after the text. Similarly, we have some other element called details. Okay, now why I need this details element? This is used to show some extra information. Okay, how it is? It is actually it is used to show some extra information. So how I can show? Sorry, how I can show? Say show W. How I can show some extra information using this details element? How I can show some extra information? So actually this details element will work like this. Control C, assume this is my details element, okay. This is my details element, and if you're starting the element, you should close it. Now when you have closed this element, inside this, assume generate details element contain another one element that is called summary. So how it work? Just see this. It has Control V. This is how it works. Just see here. Control C. You want to create an assume I'm talking about this details element. Assume this details is about any particular topic. You can take it cyber security. So if this is the topic, Control C. Fine. And I'm going to talk about these points in the summary field. So what you have to do is that this summary field, you can to add some text. Take some text. Some text we have used. Control C. Fine. Fine. Now just save it. See, I'm not creating an application just to show the elements how it work. Now, if you see here how this details tab work, starting, just see here. So for a particular text, if I want to add some extra text, that will come like this. Or if you want to make I don't want this text should be visible, Control X. Okay, and I just want to visible this text only. Save it. And you can see how it look like. Some extra text you can make it visible like this. So this is another one important element in HTML5. Okay, and that is details tag. So if I want to write some element about details, you can say like it is used to show some extra information. We have another one important tag that we generally use in HTML5. Its name is fig and fig caption. We have another element that is called figure and fig caption. Okay, figure is there and fig caption. So in which scenario generally we use this two element is like generally this comes under when I'm going to talk about some image. Okay, so you can take an image to put it inside this figure element. So for a particular text, I want to show some image related to that. These two elements actually used. Okay, so how it is? Assume I want to show some image inside the page. So I can make it here. Here. So so I want to say this element, right? Fig and fig caption. How it work? Write the element first. Figure. Okay. And inside this, I want to define fig caption. Caption, see here. So how it work? Let's see. You have defined fig caption like this is ATOS. Fine. Now for ATOS, I want to define I should have some image, right? So I have to define image img src equal to the path of the image, and you should close it. So assume you have a particular image for ATOS. Take an image. This is a logo, right? So right click, copy link address. Okay, now you can just paste it here inside this src, control V. Details, we have block quote, aside, article, right? Fine. Now, now what I'm saying is that there are different elements that is available in HTML5. We talked about section contain multiple articles if you want to add that you put inside section. So if you have an header element also, navigation link, you can put inside nav. Footer element should come inside the footer element, right? Okay. So now what I want to say is that let's talk about some of the form element. Okay. So let's talk about some of the form elements, some basic form element, how we can implement using HTML5. So because lots of element came inside that, let's talk about some of the form element. Okay, element. Now under form element, we have field set, we have input type element. Okay, form element means when I'm going to insert some data from taking the value from the user. Okay, so you have the label or input type, how you can define for text field, text area, as well as the date field, search field, color field, how I can define if I want to import some file and how I can import. Okay, so those things I try to explore here. Fine. So it will take another half an hour. So do one thing. Before moving into the form element, next we'll talk about different form elements like our field set. We'll talk about input type. We'll talk about input type equal to text. Okay. How you can take an user input from the user. Okay. How we are going to define date time. Okay, date time. Local also you can say. Or how we can define if I want to create a search page. Okay. So for search page, you find the type is search. How it look like. Okay, then you can and implement some color. Okay, so in that you can using color. Okay, or if I want to color set, it will come. You know, if you want to create some text area. So the thing is that not like these are some of the elements are there that we have to use. So how to use it using an user interface, using a small pages. We'll talk about them. How I can use them, writing a page, how I can create a label. Okay. So we'll do it. Creating an login page or registration page. We try to understand this. All the elements that we defined in HTML5. Fine. So before going into that, what we'll take is that we'll take a break for 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, then we'll move with this form element. So just see here what we talked about from last 2 hours. First, we talked about responsive web design. What is this responsive web design and some of the major important point about responsive web design. Then we talked about some tools and trade like text editors, web text editor, design tool, frameworks, wireframing, and some text applications. Out of that, we try to use one of the standalone design tool, that is our brackets. So we are using brackets to create user interface. Fine. They talked about some of the basic about HTML5, why I'm going to use HTML5, and some of the HTML5 document structure, how it look like. And some of the HTML element we talked about, like address, aside, article, block details. So next we'll talk about some of the HTML element for a particular form related element, writing a login page or registration page, try to understand these elements. Fine. And after this, we try to create one small website using HTML5 element. So let's do it one by one. Fine. We have some other element also, we have element like HR group is there, mark is there, meter is there, progress is there. So lots of things that will come into that. Time also you can define using HTML5 element. Fine. So we'll come into that. So before moving forward, I will take a break for 10 to 15 minutes and then we'll move. So anything else you want to add, anyone, please?
No.
Okay, so let's take a break, 10 to 15 minutes, then we'll move. Next.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, guys, so let's move after break and try to explore some more on HTML5 components. And let me share my desktop. So we're talking about some of the HTML5 elements just now we talked about. Let's talk about these form elements. So out of these form elements, we try to understand using a small application. Application means one type of login page I try to create. So do one thing. Let's create a particular login page. So as you know that the root element we have type HTML, and if you want to close it as HTML, fine. And you can use a particular head, as well as you can close the head. Inside the body, you can start an element and you can close the body. This is the. Now what I'm talking about is that I talk about the form element. That means I have to define one form to take some value from the user, like name, registration form you can talk about, right? So that means this should come inside the form element. Form, okay, name equal to something, registration, control Z, name equal to, you can define like registration, and some action, I can define some value. If I'm starting a particular form element, then I should close it. So just I talked about one of the HTML5 element called field set. This is a basic HTML only. We have one of the HTML5 element. Its name is field set. Field set. So what is the purpose of this element? I'm going to use that one only now. Field set tag actually used to group related form controls and levels, everything. If I want to group together, then I need this element. Why I'm saying it is used to, it is used to group related form controls and levels, you can say, right? Related form controls and levels. Okay, so how it is, so you can create a field set here. You can create a field set here, tab. I'm going to get a field set. Do it better. Hey, I'm going to use ID. I'll use this ID, but for the timing, just let me give it field set. I'm going to start, and inside this field set, I'm going to put all the form element. Form element means, assume I'm going to create a username text field. Okay, so for a username text field, what I'm going to do first, I'm going to define a level. Username text field, I'm going to define a level. So I know already how to define level. Level for name. Okay, level for I can define as name. Okay, so for name fields, I want to take, and you can take name field that defined one level. Now for this name, I want to get a text field to take the user input. So take and use the text field to get from the user input. So how to define the text field? Input type equal to text. Okay, and name equal to, you can use any name. Okay, and some thing you can say. Now see here, in case of HTML5, you'll find some of the attribute called max length equal to, you can make it something 30. Okay, you can use some other attribute called so max length and min length, they are used to limit the number of characters that an user can input. If you don't want if you want your field to be read only, okay, then you can use one attribute called read only. Okay, if you want this field to be required, okay, then you can use another attribute called required. So I'm coming into that. Now see, assume this is my in name text field. So for better viewing, you can put both of them inside an element P. This is one design. If you want this, it will create good look and feel. That's it, /P. Okay. So this I'm going to use here, like the registration, Control C. I'm going to create a new page, file, new, Control V and save it. File, save. And the desktop, I'm using this code folder, and here I'm going to use reg.html. It's an HTML page, plain HTML page I'm going to create, and you can see how it look like. Right click, okay, close this. Here I'm not going to use any HTML. Now this is my header element. You can see how it look like. Step by step, lots of things will come. Now this is the basic one design. This is my field set. Inside this field set, I'm going to add all the element. This is the form I'm going to close, and this is the body I want to close, and this is the HTML I want to close. Now, if you see here, file, save all. Now see here, if I want to see this page, how it look like. Let's see. You can see here, this is the name text field created. And if you see, why this page look like this, I have used one of the attribute called field set. Right now, it is used to collect all the levels, text input buttons together inside your form element. Now, second one, I want to create another one text field. This P I have used just to create a good look and feel that only. Just okay. So second field I want to use for email, assume for email. So email. So input type equal to email. This I'm going to define a level. And input type equal to, you can define email. Okay. So in HTML5, okay, it supports different data types. These data types you can see here. It supports different data types like email, file, month, number, okay, range, search, submit, text, time, URL, week. So different types being supported. So we should know what is the purpose of these different types of type that is being given here, right? So we'll talk about most of them. We'll talk about here in our discussion. Most of them will be covered step by step. So this type we have defined here as name. Okay, so input type max length equal. To input type you can define. Sorry, this you justified here text. You'll take an input from the user. Now you can define now the thing what you're going to take name, right? This is an email. So in this example, I have used input type equal to email because their email format is there in HTML5. This attribute is there. In which format I'm going to take the input from the user. The type can be an email also in HTML5. So that I'm going to take. Now what I want is I want there is another one attribute called placeholder. Okay, see here placeholder, one attribute is there. So what is the purpose of this placeholder? Placeholder with this attribute, the input field has a pre-filled value, okay, that disappears as soon as the user begins typing. Okay, so it's recommended that you do not overuse this attribute. Okay, so so it's a replacement of the level element because it can reduce the accessibility and usability of the control. Okay, so if you want to use the placeholder, assume you want to write some text in the placeholder please enter your email. Please enter your email. Okay, and you have to enter this attribute. In that case, you can define an attribute called required. Okay. And not only one email you want to insert, I want like this text field, I can add more than one email. Okay, if this is the requirement, then you can use one of the attribute called multiple. See, multiple is there. Multiple equal to, find here, like that. Fine. Okay, then save it. File, save all. Fine, it came right. Okay, now came here and just refresh. Just see here, email field came, and this is the placeholder, right? Okay, and you have to put some field here because I was required that you'll understand after some time, and that's how it look like, right? Fine. Now here I've used max length. If I'm going to use max length is 30, so you can use more than 30. In that case, it can give like the corresponding email validation because it is not an email. That's why the error is coming here. Okay, so since you have used here input type equal to email, so it will provide some inbuilt validation for your email address also. That's why it is showing here like this, right? That is not a proper email. So I'm going to define the email, and so that email you should provide the email format. So using this input type equal to email, you're providing the exact validation format also for that attribute. Fine. Now I've given two field. Now I want to give the third field. I do not write the same things once again. Control C, Control V. Okay. Now in the third field, I want to put take some attribute called phone. Okay. So level is for phone, or you can say mobile, something like that. Mobile. Input type equal to mobile, something is there. Let me check. Input type equal to, you can take that type directly. Input type equal to mobile is there? No. Tel is there. Tel. This is an attribute. This is your telephone. Okay. So name equal to something you can use. Okay, max, whatever it is. Now the phone that I want to insert, I wanted to assume. I wanted to add one of the attribute present called read only. Okay, read only. Just see how it look like. Okay, so how it will look like. File save all, and just see how this field look like. This is set to read only, and you cannot insert anything else here. Okay, whereas you can, cursor is blinking, in this case you cannot do anything because it is read only field. So we can do it like this, or if I assume I want to create a text area. So to create a text area, Control C, I'm going to copy once again, Control V. So to create a text area, first you have to define one level. So level for to define it, but some abstract, you can say. Abstract means I want to define something, right? The level I want to use. So you can write some command. Now, what I want to define here is that I want to define one text area. So if I want to define a text area, we know already we have one of the element text area. Okay. So text area I'm going to define, right? It should have always some rows and columns. So assume I want to define 5 rows and 60 columns. Okay. So first I have to define rows equal to 5, and then columns equal to 70. So it will create a text area with attribute like this. Okay, so let's see how it look like. Save all. You can see here how this text area look like. Fine. Okay. Now assume I want to take a particular file as an sometimes we have to upload our document, right, in the website. So to upload a document in HTML5, there is an attribute called file. Upload a document, there is an attribute called file. Okay, so how this attribute look like, you can see from here, and right here some level like something file upload, something like that, and that I can send your please upload your document here, something like that. You can write please upload your documents. If I want to upload the documents, then I have some input type field. Input type equal to some field is there. Check here, file. See here, file is there. So you have to use input type equal to file. Okay, and the name equal to some any name. You can use F1. Okay, and some ideas you wish. Fine. So here, so using this, I can upload a particular file based on my requirement. So input type equal to file. This type equal to file. This is also another one feature that is being defined in HTML5, and you can see how it look like. You can upload a particular file from here based on which file you want to upload. Fine. Okay. Now let's talk about some other attribute, like there is an input type of date time. Okay, so you can define here. I have another one attribute that is called date time, or I want to define some date, something like that. Okay, date. So how you're going to say here local date and time that I want to show. If I want to show local date and time, so I can use the attribute name equal to, can find some local, see date time local. Okay, so name, use some value dt to get it somewhere else, max return not required. Okay, so you can write like this. This is another one HTML5 input type. You can see the local date. So see it. Just refresh. Yes, I can get the local date, and based on your requirement, you can use which date you want to insert. It will give you the complete date and time format. Okay, and you can use that one to implement this. So this is another one good implementation in HTML5 that you can use here. Another one implementation that is that if I want to search some field, okay, some text, if I want to search. So to search some field, we have one of the attribute called search input type. Assume I want to some search, and right here some search query. Your query. So if I want to search your query, then input type equal to, you can write here search. See here, search is there. Okay, so let's see here how it look like. And name equal to sh. Name equal to sh. Okay, and anything else? Save this file, save all, and just refresh, and you can see how this search look like. Okay, this is the search page. Anything else you can search here. Similarly, if I want to select multiple color, okay, I want to select. Now the thing is, it is not possible to remember all the color code, right? So there in HTML5 they have given all the color picker, you know. So how to get that color picker? So that's just I have to use color and select your color, something like that. You can write. select your color. So in that case, you have to just provide here input type equal to color. Okay, just right, and you can see how it look like. File, save all, and you can get the complete color picker from here. Just see this, you got the complete color picker. So that now you don't have to remember any color number. Just you have to use this color picker and select that color from the diagram itself. And when I'm going to define these HTML types, form types, if you see all the elements being defined inside an element called field set. Okay, if I'm not going to define inside field set, let's remove this field set. How it look like? Just see here. Just remove this field set. Okay, file, save all. Just remove this field set and just see how it look like. Okay, so just see that boundary gone. When you remove that field set, that boundary gone, right? And Control Z, Control V. Put this field set, save or save, and just see here, you'll get a boundary, right? So all the component in your form element you're going can put inside field set, and it will get good look and feel. And that's very one of the important features that is being provided in HTML5. Okay, so these are some of the HTML5 elements that we can find here. Now see HTML file, the application that we have created, assume it is a registration page, though it is just we have used just to understand the element only. The HTML5 application can detect an event also. Okay, like it can call a JavaScript function. So event handlers, nothing but listeners, that are registered with HTML5 elements, and that implements a function, and that function will respond to these events. So these HTML5 components have an inbuilt JavaScript component, because if you are going to validate this email, it will give an error message because it's not an email. So how this error message came? Because it has an inbuilt JavaScript component that is going to validate your input. Okay, right? Because you have used input type equal to ML. Similarly, input type equal to color picker, input type equal to search, input type equal to date. So the implicit validator using HTML5 is already defined. Okay, so so for this HTML element that we are going to use, so it can detect an event. Okay, event handlers are attributes of HTML5 element. So the disadvantage of this approach is that the code is written with every element and there is no centralized control. Event handlers generally you can implement using JavaScript. Okay, so and for this you have to use a separate file, .js file. Okay, but since we are not going into the JavaScript part, JavaScript is not part of this curriculum, so I'll not go in that side. So so these are some of the HTML5 implementation. Now what I want is that whatever the just so what we find from here is like what are the elements that we find in HTML5. We have some other elements also. We have some other elements also. Let's understand some of the other elements. These are the form elements we talked about using this, right? They all are called form elements from HTML5. Control V. Right. Save it. Now, talking about some other elements is used. Let's talk about some other element like we have one element called age group. Some of the element that is hugely used to create a web application. These components are very much commercial web applications, so these are very much being used in your page. That I'm talking about. Based on that, I'm talking about another 4 to 5 elements. Like assume we have one element called age group. Age group. So what is the purpose of this element age group? It is used to collect multiple headings. Okay, collect multiple headings. I will say how to create headings. How I can create headings in HTML. How I can create headings in HTML, right? So if you remember how to create headings, let me talk about here. Use here HR, so it will create one line. So how I can create in headings? If you remember, we have H1 element, H1 element to create heading, or H2 is there. Control C, Control V, or H3 is there. These are the different types of heading element, right? You know, right? So let me talk about just 4. H1, assume this is H2, and assume this is H3, and assume this is H4. So I have total 4 heading. Assume first heading is this is IT company, and then this is cost, this is just write cost Angular, and this is PTL. So I can create some headings like this, right? And I can see how it look like these headings. And this is the page name is index.html. I'm using the last page that we have used last time. So select your index.html and just run top right. And you can see multiple headings that is being created. Right now, what is the purpose of this age group? Age group is used to collect multiple headings. That means the headings that you have created here, just put them inside age group. It will automatically come. Just put these headings inside age group. Control X, Control V, and just save it. H2. So just add multiple headings inside age group, file, save all, and execute. And you can see how these things are looking inside the group. So I can put multiple headings inside age group like this. Okay, so actually browser will consider all the headings as a group. That's why that's the main purpose of this element. Okay, browser will consider all the headings as a group. Browser will consider all the headings as a group. Fine. Okay, so this I have just defined like this. Control C, you can say fine. Fine. Next, I'm talking about next element that is called mark. These are element is being used in a lot. Mark. What is the purpose? Its main purpose is to highlight some text. It is used to highlight some text. So how to highlight a particular text? Assume you are writing some paragraph. Okay, writing some paragraph, starting some element and closing some element, and just writing here. This is a good book. Okay, on microservices. So that's just written text. Now what I want is that I want to highlight some text. To highlight some text, you can use this element, that is the starting element, and this is closing element, like this. We check it is highlighting the text or not. So just copy this, Control C, and inside your, assume this is one HR you have defined. You can define another one HR. Here. And inside this, define this text. File save all. So this text will get highlighted, right? How it is. So just execute, and you can see here it gets highlighted like this. So this we can use this mark element to highlight a particular text in your paragraph like this. Okay. Similarly, we have another one element that is called meter. This is also being used. Meter, an HTML5 element only. So main purpose of this is to create some. Sometimes you want to define some poll result. 80% of 30%, 40%, 50%, or some marks. Okay, some right. Some probability to talk about in percentage. In that case, this meter element is being used. So main purpose of this meter element is it is used to create meter gauge, you can say. Meter gauge. So how to create a meter gauge? Meter gauge generally we use like this. So how to create? How I can create that one? So for this we have to use one of the element called meter. Okay. Assume you don't you want to show some probability between 0 and 1. Okay, so that also you can define using this meter gauge, like I want to define value equal to 7, 0.7. Okay. So where high equal to approximately assume 0.9. Okay, and low equal to 0.1. Okay. So this I want to define, so probability of something else, that will always come 0 and 1, right? Probability always defined between 0 and 1. So that value I want to define using meter case. How it look like? So just see here, define one. So feature you can define. So let me check how it look like. File, save all, and open your HTML. Just refresh, and we can see how it look like. Okay, so you can define a particular like this, right? So like this way you can define a particular probability of happening a particular result or output with a particular value. Then that value can make dynamic also. So that dynamic type I will come step by step. For the timing I'm just talking about the elements, what is that element and how I can use that element. Okay, now we have another one element called progress bar. Progress bar generally used on implementing some task on the web page, and how long that task being implemented or completed, that is generally defined with the help of this progress bar, as the name is saying, right? Progress bar. So to get that progress, we define this progress bar. So how I can use to define this progress bar? We have to use one element called progress. Okay, if I'm starting that element, then you should close that element. Control C, Control V, and you can use some value like value equal to 70%, and max value you can define that as 100. Check what it is saying. So assume that I'm going to define a particular progress bar. So how it look like this progress bar, chart. Save it, file, save all, and you can see here how this progress bar look like. So progress value equal to 70, max. Okay, file, save all. It should show. Check it should be visible. Due to something is not visible. Why? So how to use this progress bar? Just check it from the API documentation. Delete. Progress in HTML5. So you can see a progress element represent the completion of progressing a particular task. That element is usually used to indicate how much of a task has been completed, right? So like this way it should look. So it should come here also. I'm using that. Not coming. Okay, I'll check on this. Okay, now we have another attribute called time. So to define this time, we have another attribute called time. Okay, so I can define time. Main purpose is to show time. So if I want to show some time, assume I'm going to write some text like I'll start for office at the rate 10 a.m. in the morning and return back at the rate 10 p.m. in the night. So the time I'm going to define. So we will go to office at 10 a.m. Right. So the thing is that I'm going to define some time, right? So if I'm going to execute this, control, see how it look like. It's a text. It's a test, right? So you just check how this look like. This is simple text, and I want to define it here. Control V. Microservices. Save all. So how it look like? Just execute this. Just see here. This is the normal text only. We'll go to office at 10 a.m. Now what I want to do is that I want to put this in using the element called time. Okay, let's put this text in using this element control X, control V, and see the same text. You may find it time. Save all. It should give slight different look. If it's not visible, then you can make it like you can use the time element also. Time date time, or I can write here date equal to some text I'm going to write, and you can use like tomorrow we have holiday, right? Write something. Tomorrow we have holiday. Some text I'm going to write. Now date. What is the date? Assume tomorrow is 2019. Right, 12.05. Assume. So if I write the text like this, just see here how it look like. Okay, just execute. So tomorrow we have a holiday, and it is not defining anything. Okay, I'll take this. So you generally define this time element like this way for some text need to highlight. Generally we use mark also to highlight some text. Now if you execute, it should work. Now this is the text you define, right? Okay, I have to check. I'll check. So generally it should show some time or I have something wrong here. Equal to, you can define the time here. Save it file, save all. click on this. So I'm talking about, these are some of the elements, is being used: time, progress, age group, field set. These are some meter, mark. These are some of the elements that came in HTML5 that we can use when I'm going to create some pages, right? So let's create, now see, we're talking about only HTML5 elements, okay? So let's create an HTML5 page, okay? That will have, for a particular, assume for a particular online service, online medical service, I want to create an HTML5 page, okay? And that page should have articles, should have header, okay? So what are the elements just now I talked about in HTML5? All the elements we try to use in that. If you see in HTML5 to create a good document structure, we use these elements: header, nav, section, article, footer. So we talk about our address, aside, article, block code details, figure, caption. On the form element, we talked about field set, input type of text, email, phone, right? File, date, time, search, color. Talked about age group, mark, meter, progress. Now, like this, lots of element is there. If you go to the API documentation, we have HTML5 cheat sheet. We have HTML5 cheat sheet here. If you see, we have HTML5 cheat sheet. Just see this HTML5 cheat sheet here. Now, if you see in each domain, you'll find lots of elements. Just see here, please. Okay, so lots of article aside, audio, base font, right? So block code, canvas, command. On the other side, we have so you can see a field set that we talked about, right? Iframe generally don't use now. So these are some of the elements and their usage. You can see here each and every element and their usage given here, HTML5. So some of the element we talked about here. So what I want to do is that let's create a small website. And CSS is not part of for today. Let's create a small website and try to understand an HTML5 how I can create a simple website using HTML5. Okay, or you can take a particular, I'm talking about website using HTML. I can say website is for online medical service. Online medical service. And website using HTML5, right? Fine. So before going into that, let's understand some more topic using some slides. I'm not talking about any slides still now, right? Let's understand some point using slides. So if you see this slide, see at the end of the day, we are going to create an web application, right? And that web application contain, as we are talking about responsive web pages. So that responsive web page is nothing but one type of web application you're going to create. And we are going to focus on the user interface layer, where we have this HTML, CSS, JavaScript, some resources, as well as server-side component. So that is the complete part of web application, but our focus is on the user interface. So when you create an HTML5 application, on the user interface perspective I'm talking about, so in your folder, you should have one images folder that have all the images, right? Resources folder that have some video, audio. Script folder should have some JavaScript inside the .js extension, and some CSS or cascading style set. If I want to create, then I should have some CSS file. You can define the CSS file in the folder called styles. Okay, and we have some HTML pages. So the folder structure should be like this, right? Still now we have used only HTML, right? None of them I have used still now. So we'll do it, all the things we'll do step by step. So when you create an HTML5, now if you see here, so when I create this, this meta element, you may find meta char set equal to UTF-8. This is one of the element we generally use. Now we'll say that what is the purpose of this meta element. Sorry. So any element that you're going to create, that is called element, and this is an attribute. This is an attribute. Okay, element have some attribute. So so we have multiple head element is there. Under body we have h1, right? So in the doc type, that should be the root top level element or root element in a case of HTML5 pages, right? So header is there, body is there, right? What I'll say here, HTML head. Okay, you can provide some title. These are some of the elements that you can define in HTML5. Okay. Though we have not talked about CSS still now. So CSS generally is used to create good look and feel, okay, for your UI component. So that CSS generally we define inside an element called style. Okay, inside this element we define the CSS. Now if you see in this example, the content of style tags from the style set for the document. Now if you see here, we have defined some style for body element. So inside the body element, okay, whatever the font I'm going to write, font family, it should use Arial. Background color is this. And these are some of the features for the body element. So these features will be applicable for all the text that you're going to write inside the body element. Similarly, if you write something inside H1 element, so that will have a color this for all the text that you have written inside the H1 element. Same thing for namespan. Another one point is that Java. So CSS main purpose of using CSS is to create good look and feel, okay, for your UI component. Though in our current example, still now we have not used any CSS. Cascading style set in our existing HTML5, whatever we talked about still now, right? So, so if I want to create a good look style set, if I want to create style for an HTML element, so that style we can define inside the style element, and you are going to define a style for whom? For HTML element. HTML element name is body. So body style are this. Element name has H1. It has style color is this. So you can define the style for each and every HTML element. Okay, like this way. Okay, so this is said to be as style set. Okay, similarly, we can write some Java code inside my HTML page. So that Java code generally we write inside the element called script. Okay, so as just now I told you, that your HTML5 application can detect an event and can call a JavaScript function. So if you're inserting something and if you want to connect that with some JavaScript activities, then you can put that code inside the script element and just call some related JavaScript code. Okay. So so if you see this slide, what you're going to do is that I'm going to take some name. So this name, okay. So if you see here in this example, this is my CSS style, and here I have written some JavaScript code. So what the JavaScript code is doing is that it will take your input, okay, the name that you have inserted, and it is going to print that name in CSS using CSS, because the text that I have used, right, it is coming using CSS. See here, body has some features, CSS style. Those features will be applicable inside your body to all the text, right? Right, fine. And for H1 also you have written hello. So H1 has some color. That color is applicable for hello. Fine. Now here you have the high span ID equal to name span u. So the thing is that if you see the name that you want to select, that name is coming using JavaScript from hard-coded format. That name it gets printed. It's not taken from the user, but whatever you have defined in the hard-coded, as you name span dot inner HTML equal to some text you have divided hard-coded. That text will be visible in the user interface and it will come like that. Right, so it's a very simple example. Okay, they have integrated simple CSS for your HTML element, simple JavaScript, and that being used in your existing page. So HTML, right? Now you can see the CSS style we can write for an HTML element. And JavaScript you can separately write inside a separate .js extension file. So if you see in this example, the CSS that you have written, okay, that CSS I can get from a particular file. So that CSS you can define inside a separate file called default.css, and you can call it from that file using this link href equal to style/default.css. So actual CSS logic is defined inside this. So there is two types of CSS. One is called so I'll talk about the CSS later. You can define the CSS in your existing HTML, or you can get that CSS from a file. Both is possible. The last example, you have defined the CSS in your existing example. In your existing page, you have defined the CSS. But in this example, you got the CSS from a separate file. So both the implementation, you can do it. Similarly, you can write your JavaScript in the same page, or you can get the JavaScript from a separate file, grid.js, right? You can do that. Only I'm going to explore using some slides, because I've not touched any slides. That I'm going to explore something here. Just see here, please. So, so we can create HTML5 document structure. In case of HTML5, document structure is like this. If you see here, all the elements are HTML5 elements. Okay, header to define some header element, footer some footer element. So section is also collections of multiple elements. that can have also have, you can have multiple section, and each and every section can have header, article, and footer that you can define, and nav bar for navigation elements you can define in the left side, whereas a site tag also you can define, right? So this is an HTML5 form. We already talked about how to create an input form using HTML5 for name, email, phone, text field, to take file input, upload, as well as submit button. This already talked about. If you see here, so the input type equal to, you can write text. You can put input type equal to data list also. In that case, multiple option you can define. You can have input type equal to email placeholder, then that email address format will come. If you create read only, then you cannot write any text, right? Max length equal 30, so you cannot write more than 30 characters. So these are some of the input attribute we can define, right? So the thing is that, as I told you, that HTML5 elements come with JavaScript, okay, inbuilt JavaScript. So that inbuilt JavaScript only providing the validation for your email, okay. That inbuilt JavaScript only implementing the task if you have defined so max length, min length, placeholder, right? So inbuilt JavaScript actually implementing that task, right? Okay. Now we can define some events also, but since you're not going to focus on events, now if you see here, that is said to be as an DOM tree. You may have heard the name DOM. See, DOM full name is document object model. See, this DOM, his full name is document object model. Okay, so it refers to conceptualization of a document and its content, which gives structure to the document. Okay, so this DOM actually created by W3C with the objectives of standardizing the web by describing how an application can interact with or have access the structured document. Okay, it defines the object, methods, and properties that are required to handle a particular document. So the document, the document that you find here with DOM is actually expressed as an in-memory representation of the document. Okay, like family tree as you find it, right? So where there are hierarchies and relationship between family members, right? So concept, such as parent, child, siblings, between the three elements you can see, right, in this document, right? So so this HTML is a root element, right? So these are the child element for this root element. So it is our right. So like this way, you can see one parent-child relationship and sibling relationship between each and every elements in this DOM tree implementation. Okay, now what you're talking about is like I want to create, before coming into more slides, let me talk about how I can create a website using HTML5. I'm not going to focus CSS today. Viewers, I can tell you CSS is used to create a good look and feel. So some of the CSS features also I'll show you, but main focus is on HTML5 element. So let's just do it. Whatever the elements we talked about in HTML5. Okay. So my focus is to create a good website. Okay. That you can say online medical service using HTML5. Okay. So let's do it. How that structure will come for a good website, and how I can use all the elements that we talked about still now. All the elements I want to use on a single web page. Okay. So let's do it. So assume this is my structure for the page. Let's take that structure of the page somewhere. This is the structure of the page, right? Just take this structure. See. Let's take this structure and start. This is my page. So when I'm going to define this page, the first will come as an in this example, we have not used any header. So generally, you can use this header element. It is not mandatory that it will be outside body always. Okay, or you can put them inside body also. Okay, that is also you can define it like this way also. Okay, so generally, inside your HTML, as you know, that we should have an head element, starting an head element, then you should close an head element. See, okay, fine. So you can define one inside head element. You can define some element called title. Okay, title and title online medical service. See, and you can define here Control V. Yes. Like this. Okay. Okay. Now assume you want to get some style sheet. Though style sheet is not in our curriculum, leave it. Now this is the title that you are going to create for the time being. Now these are the HTML5 elements, correct? So how I can use these elements in the current example? Okay. Now see, just this is the structure. Delete them. X. Now they have to close this body. That's HTML body is also closed. Fine. Now, when you work on HTML5 elements, we have to define the complete layout as a container. Complete page layout we defined as a container. Okay, complete page layout that I'm going to create. So how to show? There is one class is there, container. So you can like here div. Okay, use a div element here. Div element is another one element. Div is just going to point out the container inside the body. Okay, the first okay, so this is also an HTML5 element. So if you're starting on div element and you can closing a div element like this, you can define. Fine. So what I want to do, just now I talked about in HTML5 structure, is that generally we define the header or navigation element here. Okay, so define a header. Header, if you're starting a header, Control C, you should close an header like this. So what we do generally inside a header may contain your logo, okay, company logo, or it may contain some navigation element, okay. Generally, just see on any website, this header element will contain logo and navigation. This two is the major thing. So how to define a logo? How we can define a logo? So we have copied one logo right here. Yes, you defined copied one logo. I try to use this logo only. So just do one thing. Just save this page as where is the page? Save this page. Control C, copy, and create this page here. Index.html, right? Right click, new file, save as medical dot assume that you want to save inside this code folder. Save it. Now remember, whatever you're going to write, image we should always put inside a separate folder that is called images, okay, and put all the images inside this folder. Fine. Now this is the page, HTML5 page we are creating here. This is my header. And this is my title. This is the body. And we should close the body also. And inside the body, you have defined this div tab. Div is nothing but defined as a container. So first, what I want to do is that I want to define some header inside your body. That is our requirement. Right? Fine. So what we should have inside this header, I want to define some image. Okay. And logo. That's some logo I want to define. Some logo I want to define. Plus, I want to define some navigation. Navigation. That is my purpose. So if I want to define some logo, what I can do to define a logo, I can use some image. So how to define an image? You can use here img. Okay. ID equal to logo. Okay. And where is that logo is being defined? That location we defined using src equal to the path, right? Where is the path? It's defined inside images slash, what is the name of the images here? Images slash name of the image. So right click, rename, Control C, Control V dot JPG or PNG, right? So logo is done. That's it. After this, if you want to close this, you can do it. Now this header part may contain some navigation also. So how to define this navigation? It may contain some navigation also. It may contain some navigation. So how I can define this navigation? I can define using the element called nav. Okay. So navigation is defined using an element called nav. This is my nav element. So starting the element, we should close this element. Like this. right? Now, navigation. What type of navigation I want to define here for our existing assume for this online medical service we want to implement. Fine. So, what type of navigation I want to define? I can say like patient want to interact with. So we can define some home link. So how to define the navigations here? So generally, I want to define all the navigation in a particular line, right? So you can define it like use unordered list. UL is used to write unordered list. HTML features only, right? Generally, we use UL to define an unordered list. So create an unordered list. Slash UL. Okay. Now, inside this unordered list element, I want to define some li means list. Okay. Slash li. Now, first link I want to define like home link, home page link. So how to define that home page link? Using aref, f equal to I have to go inside a particular page location. For the time being, I'm not going to define, so you can use as. Okay. So I'm going to define what home link. Home link I'm going to define, right? Home. So if I'm starting this A, so it should close a anchor tag. Actually, it is. So I have defined one of the link. That link I have implemented using an anchor tag for home. If I click, it will go particular location. That location is still now I'm not yet defined. So that anchor tag for home we have defined using li element. Now we can define another one element here and to create a particular link with which a doctor is going to interact with. Doctor, right? Now I need to create another one link with which assume the patient is going to interact with. Okay. Create another one link, assume with which or all the appointment details. Okay, we can check, or a particular patient can check all the appointment details. Appointment. Details you can check, or you can define like right. So these are some of the links we have just defined. Let me check how it look like in the nav element. Like this, you can define multiple pages, or you can define about us, or take a particular link called contact us. Fine. So we can create a link like this. Fine. So let's see. Let's copy it and paste it in our page that we are writing. Header element will be right. So you have to use here header element, content logo, and then we have this navigation element. Okay, so this navigation element, define this an order list. An order list contain list item. These are the list item. Okay, so use proper formatting, then it will look good, and you can also point out. Now, these are all basics we are talking about. Step by step, you'll find lots of things you're going to merge. So I'll suggest if you are working first time, so do it in your system also. I'm just moving step by steps to that one side. So we have created under nav element, we have created an order list and list of item as a link. So just see here how it look like, and see all the elements is defined inside. Sorry, where it has gone. File open, desktop, code, medical. Now this is all right. So let's see how it look like. Just run it here. So if you see this, how it look like is that in your page, this is the logo, top left, and these are some of the link that you have created, right? And it should look like this, right? Fine. Now this is the header part in your page. So now you will say that I want this logo should be like this, right? So like this way you can apply multiple. So I'll come into that. I'm talking first document structure. This header part we talked about. Header, how I can use this header element that is provided from HTML5. Fine. Now if you see, this header is defined inside a container called div. Right now you can do is that you can create this header inside one container, and for another container you can create another one container, or you can put all the elements in the same container. That also you can do it. What I want here is that I want to create another one container here, div. This container contain header. Right now the thing is that one container may contain some more than one container. Okay, now this we have two containers inside that. Right now inside this div I can create one container uh, for article. Okay, and another container we can create for a side. Okay, so assume this is the top level container in the page. Okay, and this is the page that should have two container. One container uh, for assume div. One container is for this is for article. Okay, and another one container I want to create. Okay, div. Okay, and this assume this container is for tell me some sidebar. Bar I want to implement like this. Okay, and after this I want to create another one container. This is the container for header, right? This is container for header. I want to create another one container that will come div for this container that I want to create. Assume this container is for footer. Like this way we can create a separate container for separate implementation of HTML5 element, and one container can have some other container also that I defined using the div element. Fine. Okay, now so let's implement this. So till the time we're not implementing, it will not work. So let's implement this one. Now here, assume I want to implement this article part. Okay, so inside an article, so how to define article here? Assume this is for article, right? So this div is for article, assume. This div is for article. So that means what? I have to define article element inside this container. Fine. So define one article element inside this container. Article is there, starting and closing. So I want to define some one article inside this div. Fine. So write one article. So already talked about article, how to define article. Article will have, you can define some header text and some related information about that header text like this. So if I want to define a header text, so how to define a header text? You can write an header inside article also like this. Header text I want to define, and then I want to write some text, right? So that you can define inside that one article. Okay, and after that you can provide some link also. Using anchor tag we define the link, right? Okay. If equal to some text, and you can write here something like read more, something like that, right? For this article, right? So add some header, just writing the structure, add some header. I want to like our first post. Okay, and this I want to define using H2. I'm not using CSS today, so without using CSS and try to implement this. Generally we implement this type of implementation using CSS only. Let's implement without using CSS, then how it look like. There is no use of CSS in the complete document, whatever you're doing here, right? Fine. Means I'm not implicitly using that. Though implicitly HTML5 elements, implicitly it is using JavaScript and CSS itself. Okay, so I'm not using in this document still now. Fine. Now this article contain header, some paragraph, and some link using anchor tag. So provide some paragraph. I can to get it about first post, about some medical. Tell me, get some medical website. Medical. So take some text from somewhere else. Take some text from somewhere else. Or you can use some. Text from somewhere else. Assume this is some text, Control C. So I have used some text here. Fine. Now this is my head post, some text we have used. This is my article and some read more. So we have created one article. Control C, you want to create a second article, create, copy and paste another one article I have created. See, and assume this is our second post. So if you want to implement it as a second post, So we can write here second post. And if you want to add some more text or some different text, just copy it from somewhere else, some text. Let me copy it from somewhere else. Contact Control C, Control V, some text, Control V. So we have added two articles. First article, this is our second article inside my div. Correct. Fine. Let me check how it look like. File, save all. Just select this and execute. Now see, this is the first post, some text, read more. Second post, some text, read more. So it is coming as an article. So we have two articles, first article and the second article. This is my header part. Correct? Fine. Next, what you have to do is that we have to implement sidebar. Right? This is a div I have used for article. Another container I want to write some sidebar. Okay. So how to use this sidebar? Sidebar generally will implement using a particular element called aside. We talked about, if you remember, we talked about how to implement sidebar. Sidebar is implement using an element called aside. So just implement aside. How to write aside? A aside. I'm using aside that you can put inside a separate div, or you can put inside this div also as you wish. I am not using a separate div for this. Okay. Okay, so what I want to do is that inside the side I want to use, see, either you can take it in a separate div, or without taking a div inside aside you can use multiple div. That is another one implementation. So assume I want to do the second implementation inside this aside, I want to create multiple div. So first div I want to use first div. Okay, then second div I want to use, and third div I want to use, like this. Save. Now so here now here if you see tab, now in the first div what I want to put is like some heading and some paragraph. Okay, assume this is my first div. Okay, inside the aside this is my second div inside the aside, and this is my third div. Okay. So what I want is like I want to define some header and paragraph. So assume I want to define the header using H2, like a top sidebar. Okay, and write some text. Text you can write using some paragraph. You can write some text. Copy some text from other website, like some text I want to copy from anywhere else. Take any other website. I'll take and copy some text. So just take some copy. Control C. I don't want these things. And this is our text. Control Z. Assume this is our text, some text. Control C. So some of the text we have pasted here. Now here, this is the header and this is some text. Now this we have used a paragraph. So this I do is aside, right? So this one Control C, you can paste here also, same thing, Control V. Okay. So as you know, this most of things is copy paste, and you can take it as an middle sidebar. Okay. And you can take it Control V and take it as here bottom sidebar. I can create a sidebar like this in the side tag, right? So file save all. Let me check how it look like. So sidebars also came like this because we have not implemented CSS, right, on all the structures. I'll come into that step by step. So you can see all the elements how it look like inside a page without implementing any. I'm using only HTML5 elements if you see here. Fine. Okay, now here this is the side. Now I want to define some footer. So if I want to define here footer, so for footer I want to use another one div. For footer I want to use another one div. Right. So you can define here footer element. And what I want to use here is like copyright. Okay, @ medical site. So something else, fine, that I have defined inside the footer. So if you see this implementation, save all, I can see here is that you have implemented a website that have footer also, that have site panel, that have article, and that have header, right? So, right. So, and this is in complete HTML5 elements we have used to define this. This is an header part. Save all. Right. Now you'll say that yes, we can see the page, but the page has structure is not there. Right? Everything you have used defined all the HTML5 elements, and based on the elements, things came. You can find header, you can find navigation elements, you can see side panel, you can see footer, right? But the page structure not yet came. Neither it has a good look and feel. So to create a good look and feel as well as this page structure, we have to use CSS, cascading style set. Okay, using cascading style set, we have to define the how this header will come into picture, how these articles will come into picture. Okay, because the things that we have done, we have used HTML5 elements in this page. Okay, how these HTML5 elements will take the space or container in, okay, so that we have not defined. That to define that one, we have to use CSS or cascading style set. Okay, right? So this is we can create an HTML5 element. Now in this examples, we have not used all. Some of the elements we have used here. Let me delete this. I don't know from where these things came. Delete this, delete. Okay. Now here that we are talking about the complete HTML5 page structure that we have created. This is the complete HTML5 page structure that we have created. Fine. Okay. Okay. Now to implement some style inside this page, we should know CSS or cascading style set. So we have to know how to use CSS in the page, right? So we have to explore on that side. Fine. So just see here what we have done still now. Close this. Though we talked about some basic point about CSS. Okay. So what we talked about is still now. We can see we talked about different HTML5 elements and how to use different form elements, age group. Then we talked about how to create an online medical service page using HTML5 elements. So though we have not written all the elements here, all the elements you can see in this page, right? It's HTML5 page structure. So to get the actual page, you know, this page we want to implement properly. So we have to explore the CSS part. So we'll move with that CSS part in the next step. So let's see where Guys, we'll take a break for 15 minutes, and then after break, we'll move with what I even written all the content. Yes, this is our content, right? We'll talk about this HTML5 component. Then after break, we'll move